This episode is brought to you by Americas Rehab Campus. Get on the road to recovery with the best rehab in beautiful Arizona. Dial 1-833-272-7342. That's 1-833-ARC-REHAB.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now tuned in to the ARCast.
That is true. All right, so good morning, everybody. Thank you once again for tuning in to another episode of the ARCast. My name is Buddha.
I'm Vance Johnson.
And I'm Michaela.
Yes, and welcome back. We are here today with a very, very special guest. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the first time that we have been blessed to have a caseworker from ARC come and bless us with her presence. I want you guys out there in podcast land to give a big round of applause to our friend, one of the greatest people here, Miss Amanda.
Thank you, Amanda.
Yeah.
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing today?
I'm good. A little busy, a little stressful today, but I'm good.
Hey,
Yeah.
you could be the first one to hit that recliner on that chair. I'm just saying.
Hey, keep tempting me. I might take you up on
I
it.
am waiting for someone to hit that.
Quiet. She's taking a nap.
I'm waiting for someone to hit that recliner, man. No one's done it yet, but no, you're good.
And Amanda looks only like she about 16 years old.
I wish.
She looks young.
That's funny.
No, I mean, I get my 8-year-old is like, you're old as dirt. I'm like, I'm not as old as Oma. And he's like, well, you're only a year younger than Oma. Because my mom, who's Oma, she's always like, I'm 29. And Liam's like, you had mom at 1 year old? my oldest. And I'm like, no, Liam, no.
You're getting younger every year, man. That's crazy.
Yep.
That's cool, Amanda. Well, we're very blessed to have you here. Thank you for joining us. How long have you been with the ARC family?
Actually, just over a year. I hit a year on July 27th, I believe.
Congratulations.
Really?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Wow. It seems
go.
way longer than that for some reason. We were talking, and I was like, I think she's been here from like back in the day. A year.
A
Wow.
year
This really makes her presence known.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah, of course.
Absolutely. I mean, it's
Yep.
she's one of those people. I mean, for the most people that are working here, but it's like if Amanda was gone, you're gonna notice. Like she's her personality, everything, man. Like you know what I mean. So it's just hard for me to wrap my head around that.
Well, I was gone for about 3 weeks for tonsil surgery, and everybody was like, where are you? And I was getting text messages like, hey, I'm still out for another week. Sorry.
That's
Leave me
crazy.
alone. I need to recover.
It shows how much she's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. That's cool. So when you started, well, let's go back a little bit. So my question for you is, are you in recovery?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, don't get me wrong. I've dabbled in stuff. I've done things here and there. It was more on a social aspect. I did hit a really hard part in my life when my dad passed. And my wake-up call was when I went to go lay down on a couch because I was dead drunk and I missed the couch completely and went headfirst into the concrete or the grout of my tile. And I woke up the next morning not really realizing that I had missed the couch. And I just had a huge like scrape on my forehead. And I went to work the next day and I worked in behavioral health. And they're like, oh my God, what happened? This and that. And I'm like, yep, I literally did that. And they're like, I've been there. And at that point I was like, I knew like something was wrong with myself and mentally I wasn't there. And that's when I had to take a step back and reevaluate what I was doing.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. How old were you when you lost your dad?
I was in 2018, so I was only 24.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry for your loss, dear.
Yeah, I'm
had-
very sorry.
I think I had just turned 24.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry for your loss.
And you said that you were working in behavioral health at this point. So what made you want to get into the field?
Honestly, it was a fluke. I didn't really think that I was going into the field that I was. I started and I got my CNA and EMT right out of high school. And I did that. I was an student instructor through Pima County JTED for a little bit. And then I went into private home care for one of the counselors that was there. And I helped out her mom for a little bit with my CNA. And then I was like, hey, like, I really want to get into something more. I want to start building like that 401k. I want something a little bit more stable to where I have set schedules for my kids, not just whenever I'm needed type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had applied. I just thought I was applying to hospitals and I happened to come across Sonora and I applied for it and I got a call back about a day and a half later. Hey, we're interested. Come in for an interview. And I just kind of fell into it. And that second day in, Code Gray had happened. And I was like, I saw the commotion. I saw like the rush of adrenaline that went through. And I was like, exactly.
Yeah, I love using that one.
I was like, okay, this is my forte. This is where I like it. Like, this is my adrenaline junkie stuff.
Okay.
So what drove you to this space, though? Because obviously back then, what led you to it? Did you see people or deal with people that were suffering back in the day that made you think about things like this? Or what made you think that this is the space you might want to get into?
Personally, I went through a lot of mental health stuff growing up that I didn't realize was mental health. I went through, like, I was sexually abused, sexually assaulted for a good summer before 6th grade year by my adoptive brother. And it was one of those things where he said stuff to me and like I had to pretend I was asleep, wasn't able to tell anybody, feared for my life literally. And it was just one of those things where it was like I shut down, I mentally decompensated. I was just hiding everything. I was masking stuff. My grades started dropping. I wasn't being as like active and physical and stuff like that when it came to sports. And it's like my parents saw like a drop in me, but they didn't really realize to the extent that it was.
Wow.
So I really mentally like had struggled with it through middle school. And middle school is a really big changing point in kids' lives. And I don't think people realize enough how much family, and I love my family and they're great and they're amazing and they were there for me, but they weren't there for me because I didn't feel like I had a voice to be able to talk.
Yeah.
So it was really hard for me to be like, hey, this is what's going on. Hey, this is why I'm sad. And it's like I literally would close the door and be like, I want to kill myself.
Wow.
Like,
Thank you so much for that, because even my own kids that I ended up abandoning, the majority of them were sexually molested by their mom's boyfriends. And many of them ended up being homeless and just dealing with a lot of mental health issues because of that. So thank you for that transparency.
yeah, of course.
And I mean, it really is deep. Like when you think about it, man, so many people are affected, emotionally, physically, all these different types of abuse happen. And, for the most part, from what I understand with everyone who comes in here, when we talk about stuff, it's having someone to be able to talk to feel comfortable enough with, to be able to open up and speak. Because I mean, these things are, I think we, like you said, middle school is one of those transition periods where you're just trying to fit in. Like you don't want to show no weaknesses. You want to just be cool and fit in. And
I always had a really hard time because I was the type of person who it's like, I didn't want to fit in. I wanted to be different. I wanted to be unique. I wanted to do this and do that. But it was like, I felt that when I was unique and I was out there and I didn't really want to stand with the crowd, I was always like shunned or something bad would happen. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going with the flow like everybody else. Maybe I need to. Yeah. Type of thing.
But I'm definitely curious. So when there was the letters you said CNA, what is that? Sorry.
Certified Nursing Assistant.
Okay. I was like, some of these abbreviations, I still don't even know. So
yeah.
It's
all good.
And so with that's when you went into your job at Sonora, which was a code gray, which was also something I didn't know what it was, but that's something we'd get into.
No. So like with the hospital settings, a lot of them have different codes, like for emergencies, and you're supposed to know them off the top. So a code gray at St. Mary's Hospital was a combative client.
Yeah, I think that's pretty across the board.
Yeah, a code silver is typically like a combative client, but like with a weapon. So it's like they just change up. Code browns
or
like
even hostage situations and stuff like that.
So that's where you like. Because I'm thinking like code grade. I'm like, okay, wait, did somebody die? I'm like, that's not adrenaline to me. That
sometimes
would make me
they do. Sometimes they do in the code grade.
Yeah.
It just depends. But yeah, I mean, I remember being at St. Mary's Hospital, Michaela, and like the two units that I was on, we had the psychiatric unit and then we had the emergency unit. And I mean, both units are just boom, 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 boom. Like you never know what's going to happen. A kid can come in because he hurt his finger on a fidget spinner and then there's like a 6-car accident coming right in. Like it's just nonstop.
Yeah.
So like you really, it starts teaching you about the, like, just what your strengths and stuff are. And you said you had an EMT too? So did you work in an ambulance?
I like shadowed in an ambulance, but I never actually physically went in behind an ambulance. Was on my own with another either paramedic or EMT, emergency medical technician. So as much as I wanted to, I kind of went straight into being a student instructor with Pima County JTED.
Oh, wow.
Just because I was blessed with the opportunity from them to be able to come in and be like, okay, you were able to do this and this. Now I want you to help us teach others. Wow. So I was able to push and like help teach the future generation of EMT. And I did that for about 2 summers.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. So when you started here, when you came into ARC, you were not initially a case manager, right? What did you do when you first started?
I was a BHT when I first started.
Were you a BHT at the other spot as well? Mm-hmm. Okay, so you did like that. You were, okay, that makes sense now.
Yeah.
All right.
I was a BHT at Sonora and I was also a BHT at Palo Verde.
And how were you introduced to the ARC?
Honestly, it was just another one of those things, ready for a job change. I was actually supposed to move to Texas. And so I kind of put in my 2 weeks at my previous job, and they found another person to go in and be a health aide and help with the lady that I was working with. And then the transfer didn't go through to go to Texas. And I was like, well, I already gave up this job.
Oh, man, that's
Let me find something else. And then I just so happened to apply. I think it was like 4 a.m. in the morning to ARC. And I got a call literally by 11 o'clock the next morning by Jake, which I had previously worked with over at Palo Verde.
Really?
And his name popped up on my phone. I don't think I've ever told him this. And I was like, Jake, why is Jake calling me? So I answered, I was like, hello? He's like, hi, Amanda, this is Jacob from Arizona Rehab Campus. I'm the...
Oh, really? You had him saved already? That's funny.
Well, because we were both leads over there. So I was like, hi, like, what's up type of thing. And then he's like, hi, I'm Jake from Arizona Rehab Campus. I was like, hey, what's up?
Wow.
How can I help you? And he's like, yeah, we're interested in an interview with you. And I came in for the interview a couple days later. I was all, hey, Jake. He's all, hey, Amanda, what's up? I was like, oh, okay, you do realize that it was me that you called.
Yeah.
You know who it was that was blocking her going to Texas?
Who's that?
God.
Yeah, I believe that. I was just going to say that. I feel like sometimes you pick a job and other times God, he'll have a job. He'll pick it for you. You know what I mean?
That's the crazy thing. I had an apartment, but I had a rental house set up. I had a job lined up. I had everything good to go. We just didn't have the funds at the time to make the switch or to make the move because my ex-husband was supposed to get a transfer in over there and they were going to pay for everything.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't go through. It was like, hey, it can't be done right now because that was right kind of in the middle of COVID where it was still like planes were still on the floor. Like they didn't have as many flights going out and stuff like that. So they're like, well, we can't accommodate it right now.
Such a weird time.
Yeah.
It is.
And do you know that God's word says a door that he locks, nobody can open, and a door that he has open, nobody can lock.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's the very door that you were supposed to go through, and the one he locked, but this one right here was wide open because he said this is where I wanted to be.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
That's cool.
And so now that you've been here, you've made your transition. Did you go straight from BHC to case manager?
Yeah, I think I technically interviewed and was hired for case manager in October.
Okay.
And I did BHT and case management from October until February 1st. And February 1st was when they're like, no, we need you over in case management full time. So, and that's when I made the full time transition.
And because I mean, forgive me, I'm on the marketing side of things. So there's just so much I don't know that goes on, and every day I come here is new. But for our listeners, I think it could be really cool to know, like, what role do you play for our clients as their case manager?
So right now we currently do like all of their intake assessments. So we do like clinical assessments, we do treatment plans with them. We start and schedule discharge plans, discharge appointments. If anything is like court related, probation, parole, courts, DCS, visitation, virtual visits, stuff like that. That's all stuff that we take care of. So it's a lot of little things that don't seem like a lot, but when you actually put it all together, you're constantly busy. Yeah.
That's great. So break down what a treatment plan is like, just basically like a plan for each individual client depending on their needs, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So like to help them get sober, different things for them to be able to utilize when they leave here, housing, stuff like that. My question is, because I hear people talking about it all the time, I don't even know what they are. What are the ART meetings?
ART meetings are basically, I can't think of what their abbreviation is, but it's basically like their care team, caseworker, their home health, whether it's COPE, Kodak, Bayless, La Frontera, whoever it is, the case manager on our end. If they have a therapist or psychiatrist outside, they can also be involved if they choose to be, as well as the client. It's basically their whole team getting together, trying to figure out the best route and the best form of action moving forward to help the client have the most chance of success when they go to discharge. Right. And that's my number one goal, is to have everything set up for a client so that way they have the best chance of succeeding, because I'm doing my job. Now it's up to them to do theirs. And their job is to follow up with those appointments. Their job is to stay on top of their sobriety, to continue to go to AA meetings or NA meetings, and to continue working on their sobriety. Because it's what I've always heard, and what clients who come in, I've already had a couple come in and I'm like, what happened? And they're like, I fell off my program. I stopped working the program. I'm like, how was it at first? He's like, I had everything. I just didn't follow through with it.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things. Our job as case management is to get people set up the best that we can and on our end. So that way, literally, they have everything that they need or at least resources to get what they need to succeed.
Which is actually really neat, like in a roundabout way, because, I have not struggled with addiction personally, but I had people in my family and extended family that have. And I know that through his journey and like in conversations with my aunt, like it is hard. Like you can go to this first part, and then once you go through detox, or it's so easy to just go right back out into your regular life. And, he suffered with so many other things and had such just a rough go of it. And now he's working at a rehab in Washington, and it's like so cool to watch him do that. But it's you, I feel like your role is kind of like setting them up for success. And that's what's so cool is we don't just bring clients in and then say, all right, go ahead. See you later. Good luck. It's like,
you have 30 days sober. Bye.
Here's your tools.
Congratulations.
It's just cool to hear that, because I think that's you go to school and teachers give you, your books and your, what is that thing called in the beginning? Syllabus or whatever. But it's like, then you have your homework, and it's up to us to do that. It's, the same thing. And it's teaching life skills at the same time for once you come out to the other side. So that's really cool to hear. I knew we set our clients up for success. I just didn't know.
Like in Mike's episode, he was like, it's a life-changing experience. And I completely agree. I have never been to or worked at a place where people are so determined and focused on actually helping the people succeed to their best extent.
Yep.
Like I've worked at hospitals where it's like, okay, let's get them through this 10 days. Let's get them through this little spurt of suicidal ideation, and okay, they're good. They're not suicidal anymore. Okay, bye.
Yeah.
And it's like, obviously they set them up with appointments and stuff like that, but then they come back within a month and it's like, hey, what happened? Didn't work.
I'm not trying to say anything bad about hospitals, because, they do help people. But I feel like with hospitals, because they're so big that, when it comes to the way that they are, it's like very uniform. You have to have a certain attitude, a certain dress code. You treat clients this way. There's certain lines you don't cross, blah, 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 blah. Of course, you have to have that.
Yeah.
But when you're dealing with mental health, just like when you listen to a medication commercial, right? It's like side effects, maybe. It just like goes and goes and goes. It's obvious that everybody is different. Everybody's brain works a little bit differently. So you can't do that same approach to clients that are in recovery and expect that same approach is going to work for everybody.
Right.
There's going to be people that Vance relates to that they're going to need to hear from Vance. There's going to be people that Michaela relates to or you relate to, and they're going to be drawn to you. And maybe you're going to be that person to help pull them from the fire. But it takes all of these different personalities to come together. And there's no one size fits all. Like you really just have to be open hearted. I think that's the number one thing.
And that's biblical, because we're called to snatch them out of the fire. So thanks for that.
There you go.
I think that's the cool thing about ARC too. We were in our meeting on Tuesday talking about, what sets ARC apart. And I think it's really cool that clients can come here, and not only can they go to detox, but they have levels of care that follow that they can, change into and transfer, and they get more time under their belt being clean, and more, resources to them, and time to, really get their mind wrapped around their new lifestyle and just be set up for even better. And that's something too that you can't do in a hospital setting, because it's just not designed that way. But, here with people like Amanda, it's really presents them with different opportunities.
For sure.
I do have something for you, just because I feel like you have a very different perspective, where you sit in your role. What do you feel is like one thing just working for ARC, even that ARC has taught you? 'Cause I feel like it's probably pushed you to grow too, just as an employee versus a client, or something that you've seen ARC develop in clients in this setting versus someplace else.
Wow, that's a pretty loaded question.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
I come out of nowhere sometimes.
That was out of left field. I'm just kidding.
Well, but answer now. Hurry up. I'm just like,
no pressure.
Honestly, probably the fact that it's not not everybody fits into a perfect square. Yeah. And it's like, I knew that from the get-go. Like, I knew that was the type of aspect, like, of life, that we're not all perfect. Everybody's not a circle. Everyone's not a square. I always say it's like, not everybody has their ducks in a row, because not everybody has ducks. Some people have squirrels and they're all jacked up on Mountain Dew and they're running around everywhere.
It's true.
Honestly, I love that terminology.
Yeah.
Like, you can't expect one thing to work for one person and that exact same thing work for someone else. And I think that's something that I really truly learned here. Like, I knew about it and I knew of it. Like, I kind of tried to do that, but in places that I've worked in the past, it's like, okay, we need to do this, we need to do this, we need to do this. We can't stray out of that. They need to do these 7 questions and that's it.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much more to mental health. There's so many other things and aspects that go into it. It's like someone could have had something traumatic happen as a kid and now they're depressed. Something, home life can be really crappy. And it's like, okay, I don't want to go home. School is my safe place, but I have to go home because it's summer break. Like, it's those things where it's like seeing how it is elsewhere versus seeing how it is here. We do so many different things to try and get people to be successful. It's like, okay, you know what? Yoga's not your thing. What about dancing? Okay, dancing isn't your thing. We got a music room. Granted, that's more of an IOP thing, but we got a music room. Guitar, your forte. Yeah. If that isn't, okay, well, let's go paint rocks with Jen. Yeah. Like, there's so many different things. And it's like, oh, you need to talk one-on-one? Let's go talk to your therapist, see if we can get you a time slot.
Absolutely.
Okay, you just need to go vent to someone. There's a BHT on the floor. They got a little bit of time. Come on, let's listen. So it's like there's so many different types of people and different types of jobs here. And just curriculum in general, because I say when you come here, you're going to school.
Yeah.
If you're helping someone out, you're mentoring. You may not be a mentor, but it's, hey, this guy's having a rough day. You talk to them, you talk them into staying. You just mentored somebody. You possibly saved someone's life. And it's like, that's not just us as staff does it. Yes, we're here, we're day in, day out, but I have had so many times where clients have done that themselves. And they're like, hey, bud, like, let's go do this. And it's like just being able to witness it and see someone who came in at such a low point in their lives and being able to help someone else bring them up while they're still helping themselves. It's amazing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's such a cool perspective and take on it because, you know, I think I had this preconceived idea in my head of what a rehab was because I didn't walk side by side with the people in my life that have struggled. I kind of had to keep an arm's distance because of just things that have happened. And then I came down to ARC for the first time and I'm like, this, because in my mind, I'm like, oh, rehab's like jail. You know, you go in there and you're just suffering. Yeah. And then I came here and I'm like, oh my gosh, no, you come here and like, this is where your life starts over. Like, this is like the beginning. This is where everybody's happy and smiling and welcoming. And it's like, it's so cool because life is happening here and we're also allowing it to flourish. You know, there's so many different takes. And just like you said, it's just a really cool place to be and to see that people are evolving. It makes you want to be better when you see the clients being better. And that's a cool place to come to work every day.
It really is. I mean, for anyone who's never experienced this type of a field before, I'm going to try and paint a real cool picture for you guys. So we have, what's our census right now? Over 200 at least, right?
Oh, in total?
Like we're on the facility.
Oh.
I think we're like in the 280s.
Okay. So
take a few.
I want you to think about how you felt at one point in your life when you were the most depressed, when you felt the most sadness. And then I want you to think about the moment in your life where you have felt incredible, where you start feeling brand new again. Let's say you just paid off a car note or you just got into an amazing workout and you just bought a house and you just got this amazing feeling like, you know what, my life is going good. This facility, people, when they initially come in, they're not feeling the best. But once you start coming to the residential, once you start coming to the IOP, you have 280 people that are starting to see their life open up for the first time in a long time. Imagine what kind of an environment that is.
Yeah, the positivity is
absolutely
contagious.
I'm telling you, man, you pull up, like, what up? I'm like, yeah, what's up? What's up? Like,
yeah, exactly. You know, that's how they're like, Amanda. I'm like, hey, what's up? Like walking through when I'm going to clock in.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey. It's like, good morning. What's up?
It's a great environment. I love that.
I'm here once a week and I, you know, at one point before my vacation had a salad bar and a cooler in my trunk because that was what I was doing for meal prepping. And somebody was out here, you know, under the awnings and he's like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, it's my salad bar. Like, it's the way I'm going to eat healthy when I'm having to travel back and forth from Scottsdale. And I've been back now 3 times and I see him every time. He's like, hey, Michaela, he's like, you got your salad bar? And it's like, even for me, I'm like, I'm here once a week. If that, sometimes it's every other week. And I'm like, and he remembered me. I'm like, that's freaking cool.
That is
like,
cool.
Yeah.
You know, and bonding over something so silly, like, why do you have a cooler in your trunk? And I'm like, well, because I'm trying to stop eating Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Hey, that's smart.
And as I have a Chick-fil-A kit sitting right next to me.
No judgment. I don't see nothing.
Well, you just reminded me when I was in treatment, the things you were talking about just now about how it changes you. And I was thinking, wow, that's exactly right. Because guess where I got born again at? when I was in treatment.
Wow.
And I yielded myself and just repented from my sins and my addictions.
Yeah.
I started reading the scriptures, and they would even take me from my treatment program to churches. And I started reading God's word, and it said, quit leaning on your own understanding, but every word of God.
Yes,
When I
sir.
repented from my sins and addictions, it says you become a new creation. And you know what that means to me? Now I'm new in my walk and my recovery.
Amen.
Thanks for reminding me exactly what I went through when I was in treatment. There are many roads to recovery, but that was mine.
Absolutely. It's true. And I mean, love, going into the faith thing, love conquers all things.
Yes.
I truly do feel like the love, Marcus earlier said that he learned to love himself again.
Yeah.
You have this
happened in
environment.
treatment?
Yeah, you have this environment of people where they're feeling good about themselves. That nurturing, loving environment that is put out to everyone here from all the staff. Then the clients start feeling that way and start putting that out there. So it's like love really does allow people to start seeing like, hey, you know what? I don't have to live this way. How come I'm not getting this type of feeling from my family at home or from the people that I'm surrounded by? Like, how come it's only when I'm here? Like, the light bulb just starts turning on.
You just proved of why people, when we leave, sometimes we relapse
Yeah.
because it's not the same atmosphere when we're here in treatment.
And it's like that's exactly how it was for me. Just this past year, I as a person have grown so much. I've gone through so many changes in my personal life. It's just like noticing and realizing what I have clients going through and how they've changed and how they've had their quote aha moment that I say that happens between probably like day 10 to 14. They're like, oh wait, I actually do need help. Or oh wait, like I'm actually growing as a person. It's like it took me a lot longer in a staff position to realize that I needed that aha moment, that my home life wasn't good, my relationship wasn't good, or I wasn't happy mentally, physically, or emotionally in my own life. And how can I pour from an empty cup if I'm not refilling my own?
That's real.
And that's something that I learned myself as a staff member just in the past 6-ish months since being here. So it's like ARC isn't only changing the lives of our clients, it's also changing the lives of its staff.
That's
They
great.
definitely are. That's what makes it so cool. I always think of what Mike says, was his vision for this, and it's where passion meets purpose. And that is truly, everyone here is a walking example of that, from staff to clients, even him walking in, this is his passion and it's his purpose, and he changes this into what he because he is constantly changing this campus.
Oh my God.
There is just update after update, and it's because he's passionate. He wants this to be a place and a safe place for people to come and recover and heal. And because there's so much, to me, even that I'm learning, that goes into your recovery, and there's so much more than just an addiction. Usually there's, a hurt or something that's happened in the past, and to be able to heal from that and recover at the same time is just a really unique and wonderful thing.
That comment you made about being filled.
Yeah.
I pulled up a scripture in Ephesians 5:18. It says this: do not be filled and drunk on wine and all other types of addictions. Rather, that is debauchery, but be filled with the Spirit of God.
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much for that.
And shout out to Matt, because on the episode with his dad, I believe he talked about that, like the spoon and ladle thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you're a walking flashlight in a bunch of dark rooms. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you got to be that light, and you have to have something when you go home, some way of being able to take care of yourself, to not take it home with you and recharge your life. So when you come back, you could be a flashlight again. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so important.
Wow.
Yeah, that work-life balance is really hard, especially when you work in this type of field, but it's so beneficial. And if you don't take care of yourself in this type of field, it can literally be detrimental to you.
I agree.
And when you're filled with that Spirit of God, it says you have love, you have joy, you have peace, you have patience, you have kindness, you have goodness and faithfulness.
Amen.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is powerful, guys.
Hey, we're two or more gather. I love saying that. That's one of my
There it is.
favorites. He's right here. That's awesome.
Amen.
So
You want me to
Future.
So how about them Broncos? What did you say, Future?
Broncos. I'm just kidding.
Vance is all you're
That's why
going
I'm
to
like,
need.
I'm just kidding. I was like, I'm just kidding. Just
It
kidding.
was really interesting you said that, because who's your favorite team?
San Fran.
And I tell people, stay loyal to your team.
Yeah.
The 49ers?
Yeah.
Can I tell you what happened when I had my first drink?
What?
Oh, my goodness. And I always ask people, any 49er fans in the room? Because this is the first time
As I raise my hand.
She just raised her hand. And I said, well, you're going to love what I'm about to share with you. Because when I was at Denver Bronco, they flew me out, all of us, the whole team out to San Francisco. And we were playing against the 49ers. The last play of the game, all I had to do was catch a punt. And I had never had any alcohol or any type of drugs in my system. The ball was coming down. I'm standing on the 10-yard line. And I thought, you know what? I'll just catch the ball with my eyes shut. No, never mind. I'll just catch the ball because it's the last play of the game.
Oh, yeah, I remember this story.
The fourth and final preseason game. I fumbled the ball and San Francisco won the ball game. So you can cheer.
Oh, man.
And then, so when we went back home, I thought in my mind, because my teammates said and my coaches said, you're going to get cut, so you probably need to head back to Arizona. And so that very first morning on the cut day, I stopped and got drunk. And I felt so good because I knew I was coming back to Arizona where I didn't want to be. Yeah. And I didn't get cut. So that's the very first time that I became an alcoholic and a drug addict even during my career. So you welcome, 49ers fan.
Well, I mean, it's preseason. Let's be honest. Preseason really doesn't count.
Hey, it's just fun to have something to watch, man. I love the preseason.
But I tell people, stay loyal to your team. Stay loyal to your team.
You know, I wanted to tell you, I thought it was funny. I have the picture right here because my mom. So you got to understand my mom's personality, Vance. My mom, one of the ways that we show love is by like cracking jokes and saying things like that, right? Yeah. So she started listening to the podcast, right? So right here, she says, just listen to another podcast, message for Vance Johnson, go Cowboys with the heart signs right there, right?
Okay.
Wow. Now that's funny.
Send your mom a text and tell her where the Broncos were born.
All right. Oh, I will. I'll let her know. That's why I figured I'd give her a shout out because I'm like, all right, I'll let them know. I just said LOL.
Yeah,
In fact,
that's
she's
funny.
probably going to be listening to this podcast too.
She
so
will.
let me go ahead and tell her where the Broncos were born at.
Tell her.
In Dallas.
There you
because
go.
all the Dallas Cowboy football players ended up going up to Denver, Colorado to becoming Denver Bronco coaches.
There you go.
The Broncos were born in Dallas.
And wasn't that your team before you became a Bronco? That's cool.
I wanted to be a Dallas Cowboy.
That's cool.
That's funny.
Yes.
That's funny.
See, in my house, we are Eagles fans, so we call them the Dallas Cowgirls.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
All right.
So your mom is not going to like me very much.
It's all right. She ain't got a choice.
But
She's
see,
still listening.
At my house, if you didn't like the Eagles, I was a little nervous as I was getting older and could live on my own that I'd get kicked out. So
That's
I liked
funny.
the Eagles. I was.
Are you serious? Well,
Oh,
guess who was
yeah.
one of the best quarterbacks for the Philadelphia Eagles? Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham.
Randall Cunningham, he played 17 years in the NFL.
Wow.
Yes, and he was the one that got me drafted because we were the same age and we went to the East-West Shrine game and he showed me how to run at the wide receiver position by following Jerry Rice.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I remember you telling me that story.
And he's the one that got me drafted second pick in the second round. And so he called me and I'm getting drafted by the Broncos and I'm watching television and guess who's drafting him? The Philadelphia Eagles.
That's awesome.
fun.
I
That's
said, you better
cool.
get off the phone, brother, because they're talking about you right now on television. So he was that Philadelphia Eagle.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So I'm going to get you an autograph from Randall Cunningham.
My dad will be ecstatic.
Okay.
I don't really. I mean, I know fly Eagles fly.
That's cool.
I know there's a guy named Zach Ertz on there, but that's my dad would be very disappointed.
You know, and I don't want to get too off topic, but did you know Marino really well? That was my team growing up.
Dan
Was the
Marino?
Dolphins.
Of course
Yeah.
I knew Dan Marino.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
That's cool, man. I mean, if you can get an autograph, just let me know. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to get too deep into it. I'll just say that. But
I'm going to throw this out there and see if you catch it.
I mean, you're good at catching, just throwing it out there.
And Randall's actually a pastor now the last 14 years of his life. So
Randall, that's
pass
cool.
he throws now is the Bible.
That's great.
Yes.
Well, awesome. You know, this has been definitely a blessing, Amanda. We loved having you here. You know, it's great to get your perspective, and you know, definitely thank you for everything that you do. Real quick before we end up the episode, I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give somebody who is listening to this podcast that may be under that spirit of addiction right now, that may be afraid to walk in through these doors?
That's a good one.
Find out what your why is. Find out why you want sobriety. Whether if you don't want sobriety, why are you going to keep using? What is your why? What is your reason to keep using? If you don't want to use anymore, what's your why to get sober? There's always a reasoning why, and if you keep that why in the front of your head, as long as you work your program, it'll work. I mean, my why, when I realized every time my life was going downhill, every time I went into substances, every time I went into either alcohol or cocaine, it was like, okay, why am I doing this? Okay, it's my emotions, it's my depression. I'm allowing my demons to come back and pop out of that box.
Yep.
I'm not dealing with what I need to deal with.
Yeah.
What do I need to do in order to get there? And my kids were always the forefront of that. My kids were my why, because I don't want them to go through things that I've had clients in the past go through.
Wow, thank you so much for that, because the NFL Films ended up doing a documentary about my life. They ended up flying me out to Colorado where my son was buried at, because they wanted me to say, what's your why? And it was because of the death of my son that I promised my son that was dead that for the rest of my life, I was never going to use drugs or alcohol again. He was my why.
Yep. And it's like, if you don't have a why, find one. Because everybody everybody's destined to do something, whether it's to come and help others get out of addiction or it's to go fill potholes in the lovely Tucson streets. Yeah. I mean, everybody has you got that joke. Everybody has some type of a purpose, and it's like you just got to find your reasoning. You got to find your why. You got to find your purpose.
That's right. Yes. And my why now is because of the people that are struggling out there. They're my why.
Yeah, that's awesome. So Vance, like that is the why for why you got into this field, right? And decided to change your life. Is that your only why? Do you have any other ones?
That was my first why. And now my why is because there's so many out there still to this day that are struggling. And my why is I want to go out and help others. And that's why I stay clean for the rest of my life. And this is the very promise I made God. So everyone listening, if you have a loved one that's struggling, please reach out to us here at the ARC because we'd love to help you because you are my why.
Yes, absolutely. And Michaela?
I would say, because I came into this industry, not very long ago. Before working for the ARC, coming on full-time in December, I was working for multiple companies. So it was giving the best of my services in the allotted time I had each week, where now coming on to ARC, it's full-time. And, my why is to reach the family members of those that are struggling, trying to figure out how to be a support to support those as they're going through the recovery. So I think that's kind of what motivates me in this field. I feel like you can have whys for so many different things in your life, but ARC specifically is to figure out how we can reach more people because, maybe the person out there struggling that's going to come in here next isn't looking for themselves, but maybe their mom is. And so, reaching those people that can encourage, lead another person to come and recover.
Yeah.
And Buddha, what's your why?
For me, my why, as I got closer with my relationship with God, I started to see that nothing in my life has happened for no reason. Things always happen for a reason. Mm-hmm. I'm not in recovery, but, I know my father, if he's listening, I love you, brother. I know he struggled with addiction for a while. And one of the things that I've learned is there's a lot of really, really good people in this world that are either just hurting, like we talked about earlier, or they're just going through some sort of a trauma that they don't know how to heal. I don't think the majority of people that use drugs are bad people. I think they're good people that the devil has just been able to take control over for a while. And I think once I realized that this wasn't a battle of the flesh, this was a battle of the spirit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And realizing, that God did put me here for a reason. My why now is just to motivate and to inspire. I want people to see that they could be themselves. It doesn't matter what you've been through, what you've gone through. We're here to love. We're here to take care of people. And we're here to, what is your legacy? What are you going to leave behind when you do leave here? When you're sitting there standing in front of God, being judged for everything that you've done in your life, what did you do to help other people?
Amen.
Yeah.
That's why we love the addict and we hate the addiction.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. We love everybody, man. And I look at my kids and I think about their life. They didn't ask to be here, but they're here on this planet. And I want to make sure that that they see strength and that they're able to lead by that example too. And I think it's still developing at the same time, but I'm very grateful.
Amen.
Very grateful.
Mm-hmm. And to touch on what you said, to be there for other people. It's growing up when I was going through my stuff, I never had someone to go to. And it's the craziest thing that pulled it out and that I actually was able to talk about was a paper that I had in physics class about what is something that you feel other people shouldn't have their opinions on. And it was a paper and I was like, hey, and I was crying outside one time. Mom was like, hey, what's going on? I have something to tell you guys and I don't think you're going to like it. She's like, what is it? I was like, well, and I told her about sexual abuse and everything like that. And then immediately it was straight mom mode. And then it was I came out about it, did what I needed to do. And then half of my family just up and was like, you're dead to us. And it's I didn't have the people to be there for me aside from my mom and dad, that I want to be that person for someone else. I want to be the person that they can go to. And the fact that you're I don't want my kids to have to experience that is amazing because a lot of people are doesn't matter. And it's people don't understand how much just being there to listen means so much to people, especially in this type of demographic.
And for me, I've never understood, when people deal with trauma, what other time is better to come together as a family and be like, hey, we're here to support. We're here to love. Sorry this happened to you. Let's talk about it. What resources can we give you? How can we help you through therapy? For people, I don't understand people. I don't understand people sometimes.
People, though, get uncomfortable because they can't control it and they can't change it. And so, you know, one of the things that like my group of friends practice when we're like going through, because I mean, we're adults, we go through life, things happen.
Yeah.
It's not always perfect. It's not always sunflowers and rainbows, but we say, do you want advice or do you want us to listen? And we listen to what they say, because, you know, sometimes you just need to talk it out. You don't need to hear why it was wrong or that they're sorry or anything. You just need to get it out so you can go to the next. And I think that is something that's so simple that anybody could do. Do you just need me to listen, or do you want to?
Yeah. Just
I'm going to start using that.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Thank you very much, Amanda. Thank you so much, Amanda, for coming. We love you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a very special episode of the ARCast. We thank you again for listening. Remember, if you would like to be on one of our episodes, you have a friend or family that's got an amazing testimony that they would like to share, please come through, man. We want to make you feel comfortable. We got recliners that nobody has used yet.
Where's the thing?
There it is. Yeah, there we go. She got the recliner. All right, so
they've been used.
Yeah,
now,
they've been used. Now, so we have recliners that have been used very little. But if you guys want to come through and share your testimony, hit us up, man. The email is thearcast6944 at gmail. TheArcast 6944 at gmail. It'll go directly to one of us. We'll get in contact with you. We'll get you scheduled ASAP. I would love and we would love to have you guys. For everyone else out there, much love. God bless you guys. And thank you so much for tuning in. What's going on, everybody? This is Buddha from the ARCast, and I just wanted to thank you for checking out this week's episode. It means a lot, and if you could share it with a friend or a loved one, somebody you need in recovery, or maybe somebody who just needs that little bit of extra positivity in their life, we'd greatly appreciate it. If you would like to join us here on the ARCast, either in the studio live or online, hit us up. The links are down in the show notes of this episode, and on there, you can find direct links to our main website here at Americas Rehab Campus and all of our social media platforms. Follow us. We keep the posts positive and motivational, focused on recovery, health, and wellness. As you know, in this modern day and age, we need as much love as possible, y'all. And as always, if you or somebody you know is in need of substance abuse treatment, please don't hesitate to give us a call. We're open 24 hours a day, and our direct phone number is 1-833-272-7342. Once again, that phone number is 1-833-272-7342. I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your day. Much love and God bless. Peace.